Hello, y'all. Welcome in. If you're just now joining, we're going to get started real soon. Thank y'all for being here. Great. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone, on this Sunday afternoon or evening, or maybe even early afternoon, wherever you're located. Thank y'all for joining in today on supporting your first gen student webinar. And so this is presented by Student Life, New Student and Family Programs. And so just a little, I guess, kind of keynotes, a few notes about using this Zoom webinar is that you will not have access to your camera during this session. You will not have access to your microphone as well. And you can use the Q&A feature to ask questions, will be answered live or in the chat. And you can use the chat function to communicate with the moderators if needed. Also, another thing is that this webinar will be recorded and posted on our YouTube for those that may not have been able to log in today to view this webinar. And this will be the agenda for today. So we'll have some introductions, and then we'll have a presentation from Dr. Palaman on the Ruth First Generation Center. And then we'll have a presentation from Ms. Bustos Rios on the academic academic advising. And then we'll have our student and family panel. So we're going to start off with some introductions. And so we'll start off with Chapman.
Howdy, y'all. My name is Chapman Cooper. I work in the New Student and Family Programs office within Student Life. So I've been working at Texas A&M for the past 2.5 years, working specifically with families. And we're so excited to present this collaboration with our partners to reach out to our first-gen families.
And my name is Obamide Samaye, but you can just call me Oba, and I will be moderating today's webinar for New Student and Family Programs for this webinar.
Howdy, my name is Dr. Leticia Palomine. I serve as the director of the Ruth First Generation Center in the Office for Student Success. Started working at Scholarships and Financial Aid in 2012, then moved over to the College of Education, where I was employed by both A&M and UT Austin. And then made my way to the Office for Student Success under the Ruth First Gen Center back in 2019 and have been there ever since.
Howdy, everyone. I'm Bonnie Bustos Rios. I currently serve as the Director of University Advising within the Office for Student Success. Proud first-generation college student, been at Texas A&M for about 16 years, almost 17, yikes. But really excited to be here with y'all and let y'all know a little bit more about academic advising on campus.
Amazing. Thank you all so much for those introductions. And now we will transfer it over to Dr. Bowman for presentation on the Ruth First Gen Center.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. A little disclaimer, myself and Bonnie, we work together in the same office. We just work in two different units, two different floors, but we do the same thing in supporting our students at A&M. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about who we are. If you go on to the next slide. So in addition to the Ruth First Generation Center, the office was established back in 2019 out of a student success initiative. And it was our goal to make sure that we housed a couple of our different offices to better support our students from the moment that they were admitted all the way to graduation. One of the 6 offices that are in the Office for Student Success is the Ruth First Gen Center. And so with that being said, we were established in 2019, and in 2012, we ended up getting a generous donation of $2.6 million. Who you see on your screen is our donors, Stephanie and Todd Ruth and their family. And so one of them was a transfer student. The other one was a first generation college student. And so they really wanted to make sure that they left their mark at Texas A&M with ensuring this donation that we can better serve our first gen students, both in and outside of the classroom. And so we are currently looking at ways of improving our programming and our services offered to your students. The other thing is that we support our 3 campus sites. The center manages the 3rd largest scholarship program, the Regent Scholarship Program. It is basically tailored to our students who are first in their families to go to college, and they can receive up to $24,000 with this scholarship. It's a first come, first serve. And for the most part, this scholarship is offered during their freshman year. And so we will go and talk a little bit more about that. And then what our center has been really busy in the past 2.5 years is the quality enhancement plan. So we were able to successfully write in basically it's in our university's commitment for the next 10 years so that we can go ahead and support your student and better service them both during their time here at A&M all the way to graduation. And so we have been able to accomplish that, and it has really skyrocketed and has kept myself and my team a little bit busy in the past 1.5 years. So next slide. One of the things that we like to, you can go ahead and go to the next slide. The other thing that I would like to point out is that in terms of first generation students, the total population of undergraduates that are first gen are 19%. The other thing too is that many times our families and our students sometimes don't know if whether or not they're first gen. There's various definitions on how to define that. For the purpose of some of the scholarships that we have that we manage under the center, it's neither parent has earned a 4-year degree. And so even if that does not apply to your student, we will never turn any student away. We will always do our best to help them and support them any way that we can. And so some of the services that are offered for your student is one, the embedded counselor. We have successfully secured a full-time counselor dedicated for our first generation students. And so if for whatever reason they need support when they are here during college and they need to talk to somebody that is not a faculty or staff, we will always have an embedded counselor in our first generation center. They can either do drop-ins or by appointment. The other thing that we also offer to our first generation students that we work alongside their colleges is to offer a high impact experience. What is that? It basically means that we provide them a real world experience of what they are learning in the classroom or what they are interested in pursuing after graduation, to give them that experience and to be able to allow your student to be very marketable after they graduate from the university. The other thing is our first gen series is we actually take our first gen center on the road. And what that means is that we work with our colleges, and myself and my team will go out and visit the different colleges to meet your student where they are at. So in case they have any questions or if they have any concerns, they don't have to schedule an appointment. They have us available, and it's usually every other Friday. And then we also offer monthly workshops. So we try to work with some of our campus partners like the Career Center, where they will go ahead and offer an opportunity for your student to come and bring their resume, to give them feedback, to practice on interviewing, to go over the do's and don'ts of how they should be dressed when they are being interviewed, whether it's in person or on Zoom. And we also will provide professional headshots. For example, another one that we are currently working on that a lot of our first generation students often have some questions about the process is professional or graduate school. And so we're really excited to partner up with that office next spring semester so that we can go ahead and bring folks from that office to talk about the process, talk about ways that they can afford and pay for college if necessary. And then what does the application look like and what are they looking for? In addition to having access to my first generation team, your students also have access to a physical space. We are open Monday through Thursday from 8 to 9 p.m. and Friday from 8 to 5 p.m. And so your students have access to free printing, black and white or in color. And we also offer school supplies if needed. We also offer study rooms and different areas and where your students can bring their friends if they wanted to, or they can also heat up their food and enjoy a break room. They share the break room with my staff as well as our custodial staff, Leona Bay. And so I will never have your students eat something I wouldn't eat myself. And so they eat really good and they have the best of everything. And so it's really nice to just engage and have that community space for them. And then the last one is for them to join the Honor Society for first gen students. It's a nationally recognized organization, and Texas A&M is really excited that we are one of the first ones in our systems to actually have it. And so we have a chapter here at A&M. And then in terms of what staff and faculty offer to your students is a couple of things. And so one is our coordination committee. Our center cannot do the work without our college partners. Every college has a first gen success team. And so if your student has any questions, more than likely we will be working with the college success team to make sure that your student is supported, whether it's at the college level or university level. And then we also have a first gen network that is made up of faculty and staff who are either first in their family to graduate or who support first gen students. And so your student, if they have any questions related to graduate school or a type of career interest or profession, and they really would like to learn a little bit more about that, they can actually go ahead and partner up with either a staff or faculty that is willing to just mentor them for the first couple of years or semester. It's really up to the student. And then the last one is our first generation alumni network. We're really excited about that. We realize that a lot of our first generation students have graduated in the past, and we have established a network where we are working with them to come back and provide insights for your students in the spring semester. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, in terms of campus partnerships, so in addition to our counseling and psychological services of our embedded counselor, one of the things that we also have worked closely with is our student assistance services. So our student assistance services basically helps our students outside of the classroom. So for example, if your student is having some food insecurities, or there is something that is going on as a family matter and your student is concerned about missing school for any reason, but is still going to return maybe the next semester or just needs a couple of weeks off to attend to the family matters back at home, wherever that is, we currently work with student assistance services to make sure that your student is getting the care that they need. And also that they are not falling behind in their academics. If it's anything related to food insecurity, they also have donors on standby that are willing to go ahead and put groceries in your student's apartment or dorm if they can't afford that. No questions asked. They can easily drop by the center, and we will go ahead and get that situated. The other two that I would like to highlight is the scholarships and financial aid office. Sometimes our students have questions about their award letter every academic year and have questions. And so oftentimes we know that sometimes if a student emails our scholarships and financial aid, it may take a little bit, only because there's many students and one of them in terms of the student ratio. And so what we offer is oftentimes they will go ahead and email us, and then we will get connected with scholarships and financial aid for a quicker response if needed. And then lastly is our Math Learning Center. And so some of your students will be attending math courses. So Math 141, Math 142, 151 or 152, and the Math Learning Center's team will go ahead and offer specific study reviews for those classes dedicated to only first generation students throughout the academic year. And then the last one, if we go to the next slide, related to the Aggie One Stop. Some of our students and parents often have questions, and so this is their contact for my parents who are on the call or just students. You can take a screenshot, maybe not, sorry, Oba. And so this is a way to get connected with them as well. Should you have any questions related to the different scholarships that your student might have or ways to pay for college. For all my parents out there, there's already the university application that has already opened up for all of our current students, regardless of first gen status or not. The application closes on February 1st, and this application is basically will consider your student for both financial need scholarships or merit-based scholarships. And so if your student, if they are enjoying their winter break and sleeping in, many of us will always encourage the students to complete this application during the winter break in December, early January, so that they can be considered for different scholarships that would be applied for the fall of 2025. And then lastly, if you all have any questions and you don't want to maybe ask during today's webinar, in the next slide, it is our contact information for the Ruth Fersten Center. And you all can go ahead and contact us with any question. There's our phone call, there's our phone, as well as our Instagram page if my parents want to follow, just to see what is going on with the Ruth Fersten Center and what we offer to you all. So thank y'all.
Thank you for that, Dr. Palaman. And now we will go ahead and transition to university advising, academic advising from Ms. Bustos Rios.
Thank you, Oba. So I just want to spend a few minutes talking about academic advising at Texas A&M University and hopefully hit on some of the frequently asked questions about some advising related issues that your students might encounter or questions that they might come to you with. So first things first, what is academic advising? And a lot of students think, well, my advisor is just here to tell me what classes to take. And that is true. But at Texas A&M, we really consider academic advising a partnership between your student and their academic advisor. One of my colleagues calls herself, she's an academic advisor, she calls herself an academic tour guide. She's really here to help your student, kind of like Google Map, right? Get from point A to point B. And there's a lot of things that happen between point A and point B. And so your advisor is here to help your student navigate all of the things that happen between A and B. So yes, they're here primarily to help them progress through their degree program, make sure they're in the right classes, make sure they're getting all of the academic experiences they want. Things like the high impact experiences Dr. Bellarmine talked about, things like going to study abroad, things like doing an internship or a co-op. So all of those things get built into their degree program and take some careful planning. And so that's their primary job. But then they're also here for all the other things. A lot of times our students don't know who else to start with, and an academic advisor is generally a good person to start with. Advisors are really good generalists. They may not know specifics about all of the things, but we know just enough to get your student at least pointed into the right direction. So if you're ever curious, you can always start with an advisor. And just a little bit about advising at Texas A&M. So advising is managed at each college or school. So what I mean by that is if your student is in the College of Education Human Development, for example, that college has a dedicated team of academic advisors for all students in that college. If your student is in the business school, in Mays Business School, they have a dedicated team of academic advisors. So we don't necessarily serve students all across the university. Your student has a team based on whichever college they belong to. And in my office in university advising, we really provide some high-level coordination to ensure some consistency of care for your students across the entire university. And then we catch any students who might need any additional help. Sometimes we get students who walk through our doors who are like, I've been to like 4 different offices and I'm not sure where to go. And so our university advising team helps students kind of figure out, make a plan, put together some questions, and send them off to the right place that can help them provide the support they need. Next slide, Opa. All right, so advising appointments. This is one of our frequently asked questions. How do I make an appointment with an advisor? And I will tell you all the easiest way to do that is through our Navigate app. And if your student hasn't downloaded the EAB Navigate app, please have them do that. We've had them do that in their first year experience class this fall semester. I believe they asked them to do that at their new student conference as well. But it's a really great app. Again, not just for advising appointments, they can do other things in the app as well. But this is really the easiest way for them to make an appointment with their academic advisor. 4 easy steps, or really 3 easy steps. The 4th is that they get an email letting them know that their appointment has been confirmed. But another thing about advising and advising appointments is that depending on your student's college or school or even their major, it might be a little different throughout the year. So I'll give you all an example. Generally, during our pre-registration time period, which is now, most of the time advising offices move into what we call walk-ins. So there's no appointments available because all your student has to do is just walk into the office. They don't actually make an appointment with anybody. And a lot of times advising offices do that to try and help as many students as possible. Whereas you might have a limit of 5 appointments in an advising office. When you have drop-in or walk-in advising, you can see more than 5 students, right? Because some sessions with a student are really quick, some of them are a little bit longer, and so you have an opportunity to accommodate some more students. So if for whatever reason your student's like, there's no appointments, a lot of times they end up in our office and we remind them, oh, that's because your office is having walk-ins right now. So you just have to walk in. You don't actually have to make an appointment. And then I also have a little pro tip if you click the next button, Oba. Little pro tip about academic advising. So unless your student has been otherwise instructed, you should see your advisor early. A lot of advising offices, they prefer that you come see them sooner rather than later. So what I mean by early is like mid-September to mid-October in the fall semester, mid-February to mid-March in the spring semester. If you're a student or if you're a student on this webinar, if you see your advisor during this time period, that's a really nice sweet spot where you're not going to be rushed. You're going to have all the time you need to get you ready with whatever it is that you need. And the reason why I say unless otherwise instructed is because sometimes advising offices have what they call mandatory advising. So that means that you are required to see them for an appointment, and they might do it in a specific way. So they might start seeing seniors, and then they'll see juniors, and then they'll see sophomores, or there's particular pockets of students that your advisor will say, you know, come and see me between these 2 weeks or whatever the case is. So just pay attention to that. But if that's not the case with you, the sooner the better, okay? It's never too early to see your advisor. Next slide, Opa. All right, other FAQs, so registration readiness. There is a lot of stress from our students in getting ready for registration, and there's some really high-level things that I think students can do to reduce some of the stress and the heartburn during registration. Those first 3 things are not what we call registration holds, but they do prevent registration. So students have to accept terms of use every semester. They have to do their location update their zip code from wherever they are. And they have to do a lab safety acknowledgement only if they're in any lab classes, but I tell students just go ahead and do it anyway. These three things are really important. They're what we call our registration readiness checklist, which just means our students are ready to register for the upcoming semester. Again, they're not holds, but if they're not done, they will prevent registration. The other things we encourage students to do is to check their account for actual registration holds. So as an example, if you are a first-year student this semester, or if you have a first-year student right now, one of the big holds is a high school transcript hold. So if we never received a transcript that showed your actual graduation date, you have a hold from the admissions office for that final high school transcript. The other one, unfortunately, are things like parking tickets. If you don't pay a parking ticket, you get a registration hold for that. So really important to check those holds before you actually go register for your classes. Super easy to do that on the Howdy portal. There's a little button that says registration readiness. You just click on that and it'll show you everything that you need. And then there's some registration tutorials and guides. I always tell students, don't start planning your schedule the first day the schedule gets released, because you might build a perfect schedule. And then your registration time is like 2 weeks from now. And by the time you go, that perfect schedule is just not a possibility. So usually, a day or so before, you can start looking, start building your cart, and start getting things ready, but then log into the system maybe 30, 45 minutes before you actually register to try and clean up your schedule, make sure everything looks good, make sure what you wanted is still open, make adjustments accordingly moving forward to actually prepare for when your registration time hits. And those videos are really great, y'all. They're really short videos. Our registrar's office did a really good job putting those together. They're not long at all. Most of them are less than a minute, if that just kind of walk you through. All right, and then speaking of registration. So the thing about registration is it's very confusing. Most students will go into their Howdy portal and they look at their registration readiness and they're like, why in the heck are there 20 days for me to pick from for registration? And there really aren't 20 days, but there kind of are, a lot of days. And the reason for that is the way that we structure registration at Texas A&M. So we structure it into really 3 big buckets. The first is pre-registration, and that is what we call our student-only registration time. Academic advisors cannot register students for classes. No one can register students for classes other than the student. And this is by classification and priority. So priority registration are things like student athletes, honor students, veterans, students registered with our Disability Resources Office. They're what we call priority registration. Parenting, pregnant and parenting students have some form of priority registration as well. And then we start with seniors, and then we go with juniors, and then we go with sophomores, and then we go with freshmen. So freshmen are the last to pre-register. And y'all, that just is the way it is. There's really no rhyme or reason in between in how people are scheduled other than by credit hours that are complete. And it's the best way and the most fair way that we can allow registration for 54,000 students at Texas A&M, right? In a fair and equitable way without chaos. So generally students are running about a 48-hour window to pre-register for classes. If they miss that pre-registration window, do not panic. We then move into our second bucket, which is what we call open registration. Open season, just like it sounds, sort of a free-for-all, when all students can start making changes to their schedule. This is a lot of times when, if anything wasn't open all the way during pre-registration, is when academic departments maybe start releasing additional seats, or if additional sections of courses are going to open up. They'll start getting released during this open registration period. There's a couple of hours in between those dates when open registration will be closed. And that is because we're waiting on final grades for graduating seniors. Then we got to clear those graduating seniors, and then the system opens up all over again. But again, if your student is unsuccessful during the first round and the second round, we've got a third bucket, which is basically our January open registration. Again, much like that middle bucket, open season, any student can add or drop. This is there because a lot of students, let's say there was a little bit of a hiccup, ended up not passing a class, you need to retake a class, you can make that adjustment there as well. And so that's an opportunity to be able to do that and fix your schedule. So I always tell students, there's a lot of time, if we're thinking about spring, there's a lot of time between October 31 and January 10 for you to fix your schedule and try and get it as perfect for you as you can get it. So if it's not perfect during your pre-registration time, do not panic. And I joke with students too, don't cry unless I cry. And I don't cry about registration. I cry about other things, but not registration, okay? So hopefully that helps clear up how registration works and why your student might see a bunch of dates in their Howdy portal. They also, for whatever reason, not for whatever reason, but they will also see their Galveston registration tickets. And that's because technically our students can take online courses through our Galveston campus if they wanted to. And so they'll see that registration time for Galveston as well. If that doesn't apply to them, just ignore it, focus on the College Station times if that's what's applicable to you. Okay, but next slide. All right, and then another frequently asked question is about changing your major. So it's commonly known as change of major, it's formally known as change of curriculum. Those are the same thing, interchangeable terms, y'all. We're talking about the same thing. Curriculum is just how it's called formally in our policy and our student rules, but it's just a change of major. Okay, so if you hear either one of those terms, don't freak out. They're the same. I will tell y'all, change of major is a little complicated at Texas A&M. Most of our majors are competitive, meaning you don't get to just change your major to physics or, to English or whatever the case is. And we do have an application that's available through the Howdy portal. I hope you're seeing a theme that a lot of things happen in your Howdy portal. And so students will access that application. Generally, they're open. The application will be open after final grades post for each semester, fall, spring, and summer. And that's because departments have an opportunity to see your grades from that previous semester before they make a decision on whether or not you're admitted. But what I really want to focus on is that web link. I think Dr. Palomine joked earlier, take a screenshot, but take a screenshot of that. That website takes you to our university's change of major information page. And the reason for that is number 3, every program across the university, every major has what we call a change of curriculum information sheet. This is generally a 1-pager that tells you what the requirements are to change into that major, what classes you need to take, what kind of GPA. These are all minimum requirements. Just because you do those doesn't mean you're in. Again, you got to go through an application. But the other piece that's really important there is every single major offers you contact information. So if you are curious, who do I talk to about changing your major? That person is the contact person that you want to reach out to. So if you have a question about moving into chemistry or moving into aerospace engineering or whatever the case is, you've got a specific and unique contact for that major. And that is the case for all of the majors across campus. All right, Oba, next slide. Okay. And then one big frequently asked question that we're getting this year is about degree planners or undergraduate degree planners. So historically, students have been required to complete a degree planner every academic year. That is a little different this year. You'll notice in that second paragraph, students in the College of Engineering, students in the College of Performance Visualization and Fine Arts, students in the School of Public Health, and some majors in the College of Arts and Science are still required to submit an undergraduate degree planner. But if you don't fit into any of those categories, the degree planner is no longer required, but it's still available. Now, let me tell you why I love the degree planner. It's just a planning tool. that is meant to help students plan every course for every semester all the way through to graduation. And so it's a really nice visual tool that helps students see, am I making progress? I want to graduate in 4 years. Is that possible? I want to graduate in 4 years, but I want to add a minor. Is that possible, or is that going to add time? What happens if I do classes in the summer? And can I do classes somewhere else in the summer? So it's really nice visual representation for students to get a feel and have some control over their progress towards their degree. So if you have questions about it, there's a really great tutorial through your Howdy portal as well. There's a step-by-step PDF guide. If you need some help, we'll even help you on the university advising team. We'll help you toggle. It's really great, y'all. It's intuitive. If you plan a class that, let's say, is historically not taught in the fall, it's only taught in spring semesters, and you plan it for the fall, you get a little error. And you hover on that little error and it'll tell you this class is not historically taught in fall semesters. So you know to move it around, or if you're missing a prereq or anything like that. So really great tool, really great resource. And again, you might have some confusion. You might hear some of your Aggies friends say, hey, I have to do it. I don't have to do it. What is the deal? And part of the heartburn that comes with degree planners for our students is there is a registration hold connected to this being approved. And so if you are in one of the colleges or schools that requires it, my tip for you is to get it done early. And by early, I mean like before October for the fall, if you can, because then that gives you time to have your advisor review it. If you need to make changes or anything, it gives you time for some of that back and forth. Okay, Oba, next slide. Might be done after this. Yes, okay, time.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bustos Rios. And so now we're gonna pause real quick here and hold for any questions that y'all may have. Again, you can utilize the Q&A function at the bottom of the screen to ask a question. And if there are none, we can transition, but I'll just wait a little bit for any other questions that may pop up. Okay, well, we are going to transition. Again, if there is any questions at all, okay? Yes. If there is any questions at all, okay, here we go. So one question is for 2026 engineer students, when would they need to submit their graduation plan? I believe that is for you, Ms. Bustos Rios.
2026. They are sophomore. Am I doing the math right? Someone know, I can't math, y'all.
They'll be a junior.
Junior. Let me find that. We have a really helpful, let me find the website for y'all. I'll drop it in the chat. Our Aggie One Stop, they're amazing, y'all. They've put together a chart of when things are due. But basically, so every year, is it September? So when would they have started? Help me do the math, Chapman. Was that you? Someone
Yes,
did
it
the
was
math for
me.
me.
They would have started their junior, so 3 years ago in was my first year, so 2022.
We not have 2022 up yet. So basically it's every year between March to September. Does that make sense? So they would have already done it for this academic year, if that makes sense. Hopefully. So that's why they get so stressed about pre-registration. Does that help? So normally between March 1st of the spring semester all the way through the following fall. So if your student is a junior right now, they would have had to submit it and get it approved by September 30th of this past current September 30th. Does that help?
She said, yes, thanks.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome. So we will go ahead and transition over to the student and family panel. And so thank you all for your question, and thank you Ms. Bustos Rios and Dr. Palaman for y'all's presentation. And so now we'll have the panelists kind of hop on here and have them introduce themselves if they can. And they can turn on their cameras and introduce them and start to introduce themselves.
Do you want to, one of y'all want to go first?
I
Destiny?
don't think we can turn on our cameras yet.
Oh,
It doesn't, we don't have access.
awkward. Okay, I'll figure that one out, but y'all could just introduce yourselves.
Okay, sounds good. Howdy, good afternoon. My name is Destiny Silva. I'm a Geographic Information Science and Technology senior. I'm also a Regent Scholar and a student assistant for Navigate, and I'm class of 2025. Whoop.
Thank you, Destiny. Thank you, Des. And so we can go to Adric.
Howdy, my name is Adric Guerrero. I'm currently a junior studying industrial and systems engineering. I'm from San Antonio, Texas, and I'm class of 2026.
Awesome. Thank you, Adric. And then we'll go over to Miss Teresa.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Teresa Silva. I'm Destiny's Silva's mom.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Miss Silva. And then we'll go to Miss Patty Vargas.
Hello, and I'm Adric Guerrero's mom.
Awesome. Thank y'all so much for joining us for this panel. And so starting off with the first question here for students. And so basically, how have y'all been able to successfully been able to navigate campus? And Destiny or Adric, y'all can figure out who goes
I'll
first.
start off.
Yeah.
So I would say I was able to navigate campus by finding my place and my people and where I feel most comfortable. It definitely takes a while, and you definitely have to break out of your shell and talk to people so you can find your people, and that makes it a lot easier to make plans and have something to look forward to every day. I know like a lot of people can get caught up with classes, so it's a lot easier when you have friends or study partners and people around you that you relate to and are going through the same things you are, and it makes it easier to navigate campus.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, for me, I think one of the biggest things is just kind of using your resources in terms of finding the different events that kind of pertain to you. So the university has a lot of different things that, like different career fairs, job fairs. They do organization fairs as well, where you can kind of see the different groups around campus that might relate to you and help you find your people, kind of how Destiny mentioned. There's a lot of different places on campus where you can kind of break out of your shell, meet people that have similar interests to you, and really just kind of start to build a foundation for you to feel more comfortable on campus. And same thing as Des said, just breaking out of your shell, talking to more people, and being able to kind of use that as a backbone in your classes, whether it's like needing help, finding a study group, or just finding people to hang out with. I think just kind of reaching out and finding the different events around campus is a really big help on the way to navigate campus.
Ooh, thank you.
One moment, Oba. Panelists, if you feel comfortable, you can probably use your camera now. If you would like to turn it on, if you want to feel comfortable to do so.
Awesome.
Okay, so for my parents, I am co-facilitating, but I want the attention to be on our students and our parents, and so I turned off my camera. And so for my parents, how have you been able to support your students as they navigate campus?
Well, to me, Destiny was the first one of my kids to go to college and away from our family. So to me, it was reach out for help. Don't wait until the last minute. Reach out, use your resources. I came to know Dr. Palomine very soon when I first toured the campus with Destiny, and having her reach out and tell me whatever she needs, this is where she can get the help. It was very useful because I always reminded her, remember that you do have these resources for you, use them. Don't wait until you're lost and you can't do anything about it. Use your resources. I think that was the highlight of her freshman year. I think I said that every day. So yeah, I mean, just knowing that she has the resources there, even though we weren't there, she had somebody that would advocate for her if she needed that.
Thank you. Patty, would you like to share?
Yes. For me, I think it's very similar to what the previous mom said. Actually, Edric is my second son at A&M. And for my first one, I think he did struggle the first few months. But I think it was him trying to find, just like they said, all the resources and finding that group to be with and help each other out and all that. And I feel that with Adric, it's been such a different experience because not only has his brother already gone through, but we'll also always encourage him to be vocal, be out there, find friends, and also not be alone. We're also very close family. So obviously being away from the family, it's kind of already hard enough to deal with. And then being in a new place and finding new friends and finding a new living area and new school and everything, that's already more than enough for them to deal with. So I think definitely having the resources and have the friends, finding a group that they can study with. And I know at the Chen Center, he's found a lot of support too. So that's very helpful.
Thank you for that. Oba?
Yes, and so for both students and families and parents, what is the one thing you were worried about the most in transitioning to or coming to Texas A&M? And feel free to be honest.
I can start this one if that's okay. So for me, it was disappointing the people around me. I think being a first gen student, there's a lot of stigma around it and just a lot of pressure, I think, that comes with it as well. Like your parents have obviously done a lot for you to get there in the first place, and now the pressure is there to do what wasn't done. And maybe it was a financial issue, maybe they just didn't have the opportunity, but now it's up to you to kind of change that stigma around your family and start a new tradition of, getting that higher education and going above like not the expectation, but just kind of doing something good and setting yourself up for your future. So honestly, I think the biggest thing was the fear of disappointing. I think for me, going into engineering, it was a lot of pressure, and I know that there's a lot of talk about just the difficulty and things, but I think it really came down to what I mentioned earlier about like using my resources, reaching out to the right people, and knowing that everyone around me was rooting for me and wants me to succeed. So, having my parents, my brother, my friends, and the advisors, and just everyone around the College of Engineering that was there for me to kind of push me and know that like I was there for the right reasons, and I was gonna work hard to be where I'm at. And honestly, it's just been really great to have a support system that's kind of pushed me through it.
I agree with Adric. I think, especially being first generation, you're always scared to disappoint those that like are back home and you have your family over there. For me, I'm the oldest of five, so I'm the first person that came to college. My little sister is actually a freshman here now. I convinced her to come be an Aggie with me. But it was a lot of pressure to make sure that I learned everything and that I was taking notes to help my siblings out when they decide to come to college, and no matter where they went. um and I wanted to make sure that they could see me and look up to me and like say, I want to be like Des, I want to go to college, I want to do the things, I want to experience what she's experiencing. And I wanted them to know that they could always ask me what to do or ask me for support, and I had some kind of answer for them, because being first generation, you can't go to your parents and ask them, hey, what did you do when you were in this position, because they didn't experience that. I luckily for me, my parents are amazing for giving life advice, but when it came to college, they were like, you gotta go figure it out, kiddo. You gotta go ask around, you gotta go find your resources. So that for me was navigating that, and I was very scared to leave my family. We're also very close. So it was leaving my family and having to figure out what to do here. So it was very scary, but fear of disappointment, fear of getting lost and not knowing where to go. So that's what I would say.
Sounds good. Any parents want to add on to that question? If not, it's okay.
I feel that it's very true what Des just said. I feel like poor things, they already have the pressure of starting, this whole new process, a whole new experience in life. And for me, I think, it's just normal for a parent to worry about them going through this by themselves and far away from you. So staying in contact touch with them, even if it's just a text message, even if it's just a word of encouragement here and there, I think it's just very helpful. It has helped a lot for me, as a mom, to just constantly stay in touch with him, and then just make sure that he's okay, and constantly just encourage him to just keep going, that he's doing great. And I think it's just very important to just not forget about that family bond, and knowing, for them to know that as families, we're always here to support them no matter what.
Thank you all. Dr. Ballum?
Yeah, so I appreciate you all saying this because I think it highlights both the students and the parents of what their worries and concerns is really building that community. One, for their students to make sure that they are safe and sound, that they're taken care of. And those that are on the call, myself, Bonnie, Oba, Chapman, we really try within our respective spaces in office to try to recreate these family-like um, environments so that your students can thrive. And one of the things that Oba and Chapman have been really working towards and really working hard is really trying to involve more so our families and parents to be going through the journey with our students. And so there's some exciting things in the future. And so our goal is to really make sure that we try to connect both the home environment where our families and our parents support our students, and then as well as our students, how do we continue to make that connection? I know for myself and Bonnie, we are first gen, and being from the Valley too, that was kind of the biggest concern for my family was the safety issue. One, it was 7 hours away, so if something were to happen, we cannot get to you very quickly. But then what does that look like for you in terms of being self-sustaining, self-supported? And so being able to feel comfortable when they found some of the mentors, or they heard about them, they learned about them, and some of them, some of my parents actually met them while I was in undergrad and even in graduate school here. It made it a lot easier for them to know that their student was in safe hands and taken care of. And so one of the questions that we also have for you, for the interest of time, is I guess, let me see. Okay, so how were you all able to overcome some of these worries that you had, whether it's for my students or my parents? What are some of the things that brought y'all peace or comfort?
For me, oh, sorry.
Go ahead. It's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, appreciate it. For me as a student, I think it was celebrating the small victories, because I think I really struggled at the beginning. My first semester did not go the way I was expecting. I came in, knowing that it was going to be hard, but I didn't put in the effort that I didn't anticipate the amount of effort that I was going to need to put in, and that was completely on me. I did not reach out for help when I needed it. I didn't reach out to my professors. I kind of kept it in. Yeah, I went from being a really great student in high school to, getting a bad grade on my first test and wanting to hide that from my mom, wanting to hide that from everyone around me, because I didn't want to kind of face like what was going on. And ultimately it came down to completely like changing my perspective and my approach to school. Finding a study habit. I had no study habits. Whenever I would study, it was poor, it was not good quality. So finding the resources, reaching out to people, seeing what worked for them, sitting next to some individuals that were doing a little bit stronger in the class, asking them for their advice. And then also just talking to your professors, going to their office during their office hours, asking questions, asking for help on the homework, going to tutoring sessions. The teaching assistants sometimes even have their own study sessions, going to them, asking for help. And it really just came down to celebrating the small wins. Even if it was a homework or a quiz and you got a really high grade on it, take that and, celebrate it. Because the last thing you want to do is let one bad test grade bring you down, and it completely messes up your approach for the rest of the semester. So I think that has completely changed. And I've seen a massive increase in my performance in my classes. Every single semester has been an improvement. And I just think it has come with time and being able to apply that new approach and using those resources, like I mentioned, using my professors, studying with my peers, studying in advance and not doing it the night before. And also just kind of reaching out and, asking for help with my family and just kind of letting them know, being able to kind of talk about things that I'm worried about and just being able to get that off your chest. It has also been a really big help for me to kind of just relax, take it easy, and work hard and do well.
Ms. Silva, I saw that you were unmuted. Did you want to answer as well?
Yes. To me as a parent, with Destiny, it was always reminding her that she had earned her spot in that university, and now she needed to prove that she earned that. And she needed to tell herself that it wasn't by mistake that she ended up at A&M. It was because of all the hard work that she put in. Now she had to put in the hard work to stay there. It was always keep pushing, because if you don't push, nobody's going to push you. So.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. And so, Ms. Vargas, did you want to say something?
Yes. I was gonna say, I think for me, I started feeling more comfortable and feeling more when I started feeling that Adric was feeling more at peace, and he was feeling more comfortable, and he was feeling more capable of doing things. And that just makes you feel better, because it's like like I said, you're far away from them. So all you can do is cheer them up, support, and be there for them in the good times and the bad times. And just constantly reminding them that they're capable of that and more. So it's always, as parents, as families, we have to be there and be able to support them. Like I said, good times and bad times.
Thank you for that. And so going to our last question from us is, what is one piece of advice that you have for parents and families and even students as well as they continue to go through this college experience with their students? And anyone can answer this.
I think one piece of advice I would say is being first gen is something huge. It's so important. You're first but not last. That's what Dr. P always tells us. That's one thing that's a huge motto of being first gen. And take that as pride. Don't take that as something to be ashamed of or something that's not gonna push you to be the best that you can be. Use your resources, be proud of where you came from, be proud to be first gen. Just you're here for a reason. You are here for a reason, and as much effort as you put in is as much as you're gonna get back. Like Adric said, you can't, it's gonna be a huge shock once you get here, but once you're here and you know what it's like, you're gonna know what it takes. And that's what's going to push you to make it through your 4 years or as long as it takes you to get your degree, but you're going to get that degree.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Des. And so if no one else has anything to say, we will open it up for Q&A. If anyone has any questions for our panel, I'll give it just a quick minute. And again, you can utilize the Q&A function at the bottom of the screen to ask a question as well. Okay. Well, with that being said, just want to say thank you all to our panel. Thank you so much for the good insight, wisdom, information that y'all have given to us, to all of us, and for those that were here on this webinar. And so thank you all so much, especially to our students and especially to our parents as well for just making this time. We appreciate y'all so much. And so with that being said, we will go ahead and transition to upcoming events. And so if you have not heard of Family Weekend, New Student and Family Programs puts on an event in the spring called Family Weekend, which is a weekend of events and programming that are held each spring for families to experience Texas A&M. And so this weekend will be held the weekend of April 4th through the 6th next semester. And you can look for more information at familyweekend.tamu.edu. And more information will be sent out early next semester of when people can start RSVPing or buying tickets for Family Weekend. And here's some contact information from each I guess sort of office or department. And so we have the information for New Student and Family Programs, the Roots First Gen Center, and Academic Advising or University Advising. And so you can go ahead and take a screenshot if you want to. And yes, and so with that being said, this will be the end of our time for this webinar, and just want to say thank you all so much for being able to join this evening, and we hope you have a great rest of your evening and a great week as well. Thank you all so much.